All right, so I think we are live. Could the audience please let us know if you can hear and see us? And other than that, welcome to Rocket Lab Weekly episode 104. I must say, as the beginning, I made a huge mistake. I titled the stream Geost is officially acquired, and it's because I'm very tired. I meant to say Mynaric or Mynaric, or I don't know how you pronounce it, and people pointed it out in the comments. So I changed the title both on YouTube and on Twitter. So I stand corrected. So welcome everybody here. This is episode 104 Rocket Lab Weekly. Matt is still doing his makeup, but we have Scotto with us. How has your week been, Mr. Scott?
Busy as always. Plenty going on. I've spent a lot of the week looking into Shift 4. I think it was on the last time I was on. So 2 weeks ago, I mentioned probably going to end up buying more. And I did. Actually, I bought some on both Monday and Wednesday, as well as trimmed a bit of Black Sky as well. So just kind of shuffling a few things around. And Shift 4 is just not financial advice, but like it seems like unusually cheap. You know, sometimes stocks they run like to the upside and you're like, this valuation doesn't make any sense. Shift 4 is like almost the opposite. So I think it's still that like that shuffling with like Isaacman out, but now he's like kind of still in now, like kind of more than he otherwise would have been. But the share price I bought at on Monday was the same share price that I bought at in March. So I'm kind of like, it's a much better business. They've got the Global Blue acquisition under their belt now. And I just like, the more I look into it, the more I'm like, I don't know, wanting to buy more and more. So we'll see what happens with that. It's now 7.5% of the portfolio. And I also did trim more Black Sky. I can't remember if I mentioned that on the last episode as well, but I trimmed, that's now down to like 2.5% of the portfolio. So a bit of shuffling around, but overall pretty good week. How about yourself?
Yeah, the same. My portfolio is very boring until my options run out. But I am looking at different stocks, I'm taking ideas from you.
Definitely. Take a look at Shift 4, man.
Yeah. I've been also interested in PayPal. You know, like it's so interesting when you see like retail people recommending stocks, and then it's like 3 years later, and the stock is like the same or lower. Then it really makes you like, okay, definitely, because they're still recommending it, and it's much better. But yeah, we see. I see Curtis is saying TMC and Iran. Definitely going to check those. Also. Cool. So Matt, he's sometimes very funny. He wrote us that I asked who's coming on the show, and he said I'm alive. I interpreted that that meant that he was coming, but now I'm not sure. So maybe he just, I don't know what he meant with it. So maybe he's not coming. Maybe we see. But I think we do the show without him. I think it's going to be a very cool week. There has been a new Peter Beck interview on Bloomberg, and Chris Camp, out of all people, I think it was from 2 weeks ago, he had a speech, and he had some pretty juicy things to say about a few things. So I have some clips that I want to show you, and and lots of stuff happened this week. So I think we go into it. So let me just tech support. You tell me if you don't see anything. So, I mean, the first news is that Rocket Lab, as usual, is tweeting about their Mars telecommunications orbiter. They are really, really after this contract. They are saying here, imagine how the astronauts can call back to Earth. And they even had a video or a picture where like an astronaut was calling, and then a wife at home was looking at the TV, having the astronaut on the phone. Call me crazy, but I don't know what technology they would use to make that call happen.
I don't know.
There's like a 20-minute delay. I think the communication from Mars to Earth is like 20 minutes one way with the speed of light, and then 20 minutes back. So I think it's the world's what do you call it, most boring phone call. It's like, "Hi, wife, how are you doing?" And then you go away, and then 40 minutes later you get an answer. Yeah.
I mean, maybe they're watching a video of each other. Like, I don't know.
Probably it's probably pre-recorded messages. That's the phone call. Yeah. I don't know what more there is to say about this. I saw also other tweets that was somebody like collected up all the pictures of Sir Peter Beck being in like government meetings and Space Force meetings, and yeah, I think big government contracts are coming soon. I'm not sure it's the Mars telecommunication orbiter that is the first one, but definitely I think soon we're going to be landing some big contracts.
Definitely, yeah.
Cool. We go to the next meeting here. Next news. We have some updates from Wallops. Eastern Shore spaceflight went out there. He took some pictures. It looks pretty much the same as when we were there, but keep in mind these buildings are done. Then same news out of Wallops. There has been a new HASTE launch that somebody took a very beautiful picture. Here is some more detailed pictures from the LC2 HASTE launch. And Scotto, I believe that you are the wizard when it comes to numbers and launches. So could you clue us in? Because it feels like Q3 is not looking so hot when it comes to launches. We barely have a few days left. And this, I think, is the third launch this quarter. Is it correct?
Yeah, third launch for the quarter. I think this is 13th for the year. 13th for the year, yeah.
Yeah.
And I think we're supposed to be getting one in 2 days as well. And then there's a possibility. I mean, last I heard, Synspective was also supposed to be September as well. So I'm not sure if that slipped. It's one of those on Synspective's call, and I'm hearing this all secondhand because it's in Japanese, but my understanding was that the December launch was going to be pushed back, but I'm wondering if maybe the full slate was pushed back a little bit. But either way, it's should be soon. I think what's worth noting from this launch, though, this is number 30. This is the 30th success for Electron in a row. So this is by far their longest streak. Knock on wood, of course, but it's really cool to see. Their previous longest streak was 20, so we're smashing that. And I mean, it's going to be a pretty busy Q4. It's looking like. So hopefully those don't slide into 2026, but we'll see. We're sitting at like probably 14, maybe 15 to close out the quarter, leaving us with like, as long as we hit like 5, I guess, in Q4, we're already sitting at 20, and anything plus that or anything above that is just icing on the cake.
Yeah. I mean, 3 in like 3 or 4 days, that would be pretty freaking amazing. But I think that the reason why it has not been done before is because of customers, not because of Rocket Lab. I'm pretty sure that they literally demonstrated 24-hour launch within 2 continents, and then they demonstrated I think it was 1 day and some hours like from the same launch pad. And now it would be like it could be the next 2 would be from New Zealand, right? The 2 that you mentioned, like Synspective is.
I don't know, like, and that's just a little bit odd. Is after Electron 70, there was a mention that in the coming days they'll announce the next launch, which would be from New Zealand, and we just haven't heard anything yet. So it must have been a last-minute customer slip. So I'm wondering if that was Synspective, or what exactly happened there. I don't know. But the one in 2 days, that will also be from Virginia. So that'll be actually that'll, let me just double check. That'll definitely be the quickest turnaround for Virginia. Having, I guess, 2 in 6 days, give or take, or what is that? Lost my place there. Yeah. And then the third one, I guess, would probably be from New Zealand, assuming we do get that one. So yeah, busy.
Awesome. By the way, thank you for reminding us that the Rocket Lab book, it looks like it's coming out on October 4th. So if you have not pre-ordered yet, please make sure that you do if you don't want to miss this amazing book. Cool.
By the way, I did notice in the advertisement for that, there's a. Oh, sorry, 1 sec. In the ad for that book, I did notice Venus was a 2026/2027 thing. So I'm wondering if that's getting pushed forward as well.
Yeah, I think he did in the last interview that he did, I think he said that it's a nights and weekends project, and currently they don't have nights and weekends. So when Neutron has launched and is scaled up, that's when they can go back to it.
What I found interesting too is, and I don't want to put too much weight into it because it was just maybe the excitement of the day, but there was that I think it might have been actually when we were talking to Peter, that video that you posted.
Yeah.
But there was a mention of Mars and then Venus. So I'm wondering if maybe there's something coming down the pipeline that's Mars shaped before Venus.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why Venus got pushed. I don't know. We'll see, but it's going to be pretty cool.
Yeah. Cool. And now I think the best news, the most bullish news of the week is that our beloved CFO, Adam Spice, who I literally think he is, I'm probably biased, but I think he is the best CFO that I've ever seen for a public company. And he exercised some options, and his share count increased by 81.6%. Which is very bullish and a sign that he is sticking around for some time. And it
was refreshing to see this one too, because there's been a lot of sales recently, and some of them without context look kind of ugly, right? Like it's like, oh, Peter Beck selling, and then we have Frank Klein, and then Adam Spice, he did sell before this one, but like, given that, Peter's, for example, that was outlined in June already. So it's like, that's not really news for OGs, if you will. It's also worth noting though, like, I'm pretty sure that was only half of what it was expected to be sold. So we probably will see another sale from Peter that is the same size or similar size, but there was also the, I'm drawing a blank on the director's name, but they sold their two associated funds sold out pretty much entirely.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of like a few hits back to back that didn't look too good, but then you have this, and it's like, this is meaningful, especially if you look at like the relation over time. It just seems to continually be going down. Like he's selling, like it looks like he's just parting ways with the company over time. But then you have this big uptick, which I'm pretty sure is only a quarter of what is expected long term. The rest is going to be exercised over a period. I'm not seeing it in front of me now, but I'm pretty sure what we saw today is only a quarter. So Adam's going to have a lot more skin in the game if you fast forward like 3 to 5 years.
That is awesome. I really like that guy. Cool. I don't know if there's any more comments on this. Frank Klein is the luckiest guy on earth. Yeah. It's so funny. We actually, I don't know if we started speaking with him before we started recording, and you can correct me if I remember wrong, but we did bring up that he's like the luckiest, like his timing, because like those of you who don't know the story, like he got awarded a crap ton of stocks, like when he joined Rocket Lab, and he joined Rocket Lab like exactly when the stock was like at $4 and was about to like rocket up. I think he was, I mean, you can see his share count here. Is it like he got 1.5 million shares awarded, right? At $4, which means that he was getting a $6 million pay. I don't remember now if it was like vesting over a certain, it was probably vesting over a certain period of time. So he had to stay for an X amount of years for this to vest. But yeah, those $6 million in a year turned into $60 million freaking dollars. And we brought this up when we met him, and he said that, yeah, but it's like you can say it was luck, but I studied the company, and like I also invested my own money into this company. He said that, right?
I don't remember that part about his own money, but that's cool to hear.
Yeah. So like, I'm pretty sure I had so little sleep because I was like sure he said it, and then I looked back at the video, and then I'm like, I don't find it, but I think he, like in the very beginning, the cameras were not rolling yet, and then he mentioned this. If not, then it's the lack of sleep that I yeah. But he's extremely lucky. Let's put it this way.
Mhm.
Yeah, cool. So now we go to the next news, which is the Mynaric, the German acquisition, finally, I guess, cleared the bankruptcy court and actually went through. And Rocket Lab is now the proud owner of Mynaric in Germany. And okay, it's funny today. It's like this package deals. So this is the same week when Germany has announced that they are planning to spend $40 billion in military space investment, citing new threats. So they basically had their third, what was it called? Something like their third space national summit. And the German defense minister announced a 35 billion euro investment in space. And they are citing basically threats from Russia and China. And Russia was basically, when they attacked Ukraine, they blocked some Viasat satellites, which resulted in the Germans not being able to control approximately 6,000 wind turbines, and so forth and so forth. And obviously, this Mynaric acquisition makes Rocket Lab a partially German company. And I have a feeling we are going to see more contracts coming out of Germany.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. And Planet Labs as well, they just announced a new factory that's going to ultimately double their capacity. And that's also set to be in Germany. So it's like great timing for, well, I mean, I'm not sure if it's so much great timing or maybe somebody whispering to them kind of ahead of time. It seems like everything's kind of aligning.
Yeah.
The only kind of asterisk I want to put here is like, I don't think the deal is like done. Like according to the 8K, it still needs to go through German regulatory approval, but that the deal is signed. So the it just needs to go through the German Ministry of Foreign Affairs. So it's like basically done, but it's still probably going to be like done for Q4. So either way, we're looking at this though, between the addition of Geost and Mynaric, like 2026 is going to be a very big year for space systems.
Awesome. Yeah. Okay, we go to the next one, and there has been a Bloomberg interview with Sir Peter Beck, and I don't know if you saw this interview or not, or
no, I actually didn't even know about it.
Okay. I mean, the only thing that I want to highlight from here is he basically explains how Haste came about and what is the like his expectations for Haste and why it's such a powerful offering. So I just wanna play that. Please let me know if you have sound.
Now going back to a couple of my favorite topics. Hypersonics is one of them. Going back to the geek side of the house.
Excellent.
So hypersonic and suborbital testing support. How is your suborbital and high cadence launch capability shaping U.S. hypersonic test schedules, telemetry needs, and cost per test event?
Yeah. So this is great. Look, we were actually called into a meeting with a group of folks, and it wasn't unnoticed that we had this launch vehicle that was launching really, really frequently at a really affordable price. And we go hypersonic every few weeks. In fact, we go Mark 27 to get to orbit. So if someone calls us up and say, "Hey, can you go Mark 8?" We're like, "Okay." We're like, do we have to take the second stage off because we're only just not even stretching the vehicle's legs at that point? So and the US had a real issue with hypersonic research and just getting things out of the test tunnels and in the sky. And it went through a period where the launch vehicles, to get them into the sky, weren't particularly reliable, and that's the bit that you don't want to innovate on, right? Like if you've got a complicated hypersonic payload, you don't want to cross your fingers that the rocket works. Like that should just be a given. And some of these flights were tens of millions of dollars a crack. So that's just not scalable. And if we look at our adversaries and the advancements that have been made in hypersonics there, It's not because they've got better engineers and scientists; it's just they're flying heaps. So, we came along with Electron and converted it into a suborbital kind of vehicle, and it's just a game changer because we have so much energy and we have so much control over that energy that whatever trajectory or test regime you want to run, piece of cake. Like I said, like normally you want a sort of a Mark 8 window. Well, we'll take you all the way. Like this is piece of cake. So it really expands the aperture for what can be done. And of course, as I mentioned before, there's one rocket rolling off the production line every 11 days. So whatever test cadence the payloads can provide, we can support. So I think I'm very excited about this. I think this will finally move the US right into the forefront and the lead in hypersonics where it needs to be, and just get a bulk amount of flight time for these missions.
No, I appreciate that. I spent quite a bit of time with the test.
So yeah, so for me, what was like super interesting in this is basically because of geopolitics, there is a lot of need to develop weapons, and what he said that it wasn't unnoticed how successful Electron was, and when you're testing your hypersonics, which is probably multi-tens of $million programs, you don't want to be worrying about the rocket blowing up or the rocket not meeting certain parameters. And based on this comment, it does sound like HASTE is going to scale. I mean, I know the Rocket Lab community has been saying this a lot, and specifically Francisco and Chris. But this is just straight out of the horse's mouth how much it's going to scale, because it sounds like this is going to be almost as much as the normal Electron launches, no?
Oh, for sure. And actually, as we're going through that, I'm kind of cross-referencing my notes. They've never mentioned 11 or one every 11 days. Before, like the most recent that we have was from MSNBC on June 30th of one every 15 days. And that was kind of what they've been saying since November 12th of 2023. So that really is a testament to the current output, I guess, like 33 per year is what we're outputting right now. So that really pairs well with what we were talking about earlier in the episode of like, yeah, maybe it was a slow quarter, but like if you look at Q4's backlog, it's kind of insane. Like I don't know how they could hit everything. Like, of course things slide to the right, but it's a testament of how busy this next while is going to be. It's really good to see.
What was it? 11 days. What is that on a yearly?
33.18 per year.
Okay, and the 15 was like 25 or what? Or
yeah, give or take,
yeah, exactly. Okay, yeah, very, very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. So we take. Okay, by the way, this was all the straight Rocket Lab news. Then I have we turn into Astra Weekly. I have some very interesting clips. Exactly, but I don't know if there's anything else you have about Rocket Lab that maybe I might have missed, or the audience, if you guys want to. Yeah.
No, nothing on my end. No.
Okay. I mean, we see the comments, and then if there comes something, we can take it up. But this week also something we take it with this one first. So the Sierra Dream Chaser is starting to resemble a nightmare. So the Dream Chaser is, as far as I understand, is a space capsule that is supposed to be able to land back on Earth like the space shuttle did, but it's in the size of the Dragon spacecraft, and it started development in 2004, and yes, that was more than 2 decades ago. And it seems like NASA has gotten fed up with them, and they awarded them a contract for 7 ISS resupply missions. And basically, NASA pulled that back, and they're saying that this is a mutual agreement. Like NASA is not obligated now to order any resupply missions for the ISS, and they agreed on that the first flight is going to be a free test flight, a free demonstration flight. which I think sets this program back very, very much. Yeah, and it just shows you how space is really, really hard. I don't know if you have been following this or if you have any comments on this.
Kind of indirectly, it's just one of those things that, like, since I've been invested in Rocket Lab and even before, it's one of those, like, kind of been in my peripheral of, like, I can't wait to see that fly, especially, like, you know, back in the day, you know, when all the space stocks were coming public, you know, you had Virgin Galactic, and it was kind of like, oh, this is really cool, all these like passenger planes. But one thing, like, that, just seeing this image, it just kind of like, I was just thinking about this actually earlier today. There's that Ashley Vance comment from, I think it was one of those Wednesday night space talks. But he mentioned that, like, Peter's always busy, and he said something to the effect of, like, that Ashley couldn't mention what Peter's working on, but that Peter likes to build fast things. And I'm kind of like, what does that mean? Like, we just heard Peter talking about, like, what was it, Mach 18 or something crazy? Like, and I've always wondered, like, does it make any sense for him to build something akin to a Dream Chaser? But I don't know. It'd be interesting, but I mean, time will tell. It's clearly not working for Sierra here, but
yeah, I mean, I cannot imagine the resources, and because it's 2 freaking decades or more in development. And I think that NASA is not even being mean here. It's like the ISS is going to be deorbited very soon. So if they don't make it into flight, like, there's not going to be an ISS to, I think maybe that's why the contract was canceled, because NASA is like, hey, if you guys are not really flying, because I think that their first flight is scheduled, which is a test flight, in Q4 2026. If there's any delays, it's 2027. And the ISS deorbits in 2030. So there's no, like, space even to do 7 resupply missions. So yeah.
I mean, hopefully by then we have, like, you know, what's Blue Origin's, like, Blue Reef or whatever they call it, but we should have some other space stations by then, I'd hope.
Yeah,
we'll see.
That would be very, very cool. Okay, and now we are going to start Astra Weekly, guys. It's going to be very interesting. So this guy seems to be back from the dead, and I must say, when we were together, I think it was when we were together in Wallops, like, he came up, and I think it was Miss Iglesias who said that, like, he actually, like, his job was to raise capital and, you know, get people excited about Astra, and then he had chief engineers, and they were the ones who actually effed up, and he actually did his job, you know. And when I looked at it, I'm like, yeah, that's not untrue. Like, I can't say that statement is false, and I cannot believe that he is not giving up. And in this speech, he is the keynote speaker at the Barclay Space Symposium 2025. He actually gives a business case for Astra that I'm like, okay, yeah, that might work, you know. So I think it's worth a watch. I'm definitely not going to be an Astra investor, but it's an interesting company. So I want to show you guys a few very interesting clips. Please let me know if there is audio.
Things got a little, but we were working on this rocket. The rocket was very important. I decided, let's sell the satellite engines. You know, so let's see if we can. Because the engines had started to work. We had this big SDA constellation going up. We sold hundreds of these satellite engines for about.
By the way, just context. So he's talking about the history of Astra, and obviously, like, he takes up with the audience how they were a public company and then what went wrong. So just as a background.
About $500,000 a piece. So we had about $100 million of orders for satellite engines. And as a public company, you know, this is revenue. This is good. Let's see if that'll work. It didn't work. So basically, there was a point in that journey where the market cap of the company was like $50 million or something like that. And so obviously I'm the worst public company CEO ever. So I met with the board, called a little board meeting. I'm the chairman, so all my fault, obviously. I said, okay, board, you should fire me because this is just totally not working out, or you should sell the company. And I want to help you do whatever you can do for our shareholders that have invested in this company, like whatever the best outcome is for them, we should totally do that. And I'm going to fully empower you as the independent members of the board to figure this out. You should hire new investment bankers. You should hire new advisors, because obviously the ones that I've hired are crap. Here's an offer to buy the company, which was a bit of an interesting board meeting. I also told them that they could fire me, but I couldn't fire them. So they were totally independent and safe for me, even though I had a lot of power over the situation. But they should go and do that. So I helped them attempt to find a buyer for Astra. And what happened there, this is about 2022, 2023, Virgin Orbit went bankrupt. And no one bought them. No one even bought their assets. And so we're out there trying to sell Astra to Rocket Lab, to everybody.
That's the part I wanted to show you guys. So they tried to sell Astra to Rocket Lab, and apparently no one bought Virgin assets. He forgot to mention Rocket Lab there. So if you guys watching this stream and you know you have seen you have read Ashley Vance's When the Heavens Went on Sale book, or you saw the Wild Wild Space documentary, you know that Sir Peter Beck and this guy had a major rivalry between them, and it's just insane that it came a point when they were begging Rocket Lab to buy them. Okay, here's the next one that is very, very interesting. Please let me know again if there's sound.
Nothing, yeah.
Okay.
But no one wanted to buy it.
Oh, I know why. It's because I'm not sharing the right one. Okay. Here it is. How about now?
SpaceX wouldn't be.
Yeah.
And it was ultimately NASA, while I was there, they gave him $500 million that he loaned to Tesla that saved Tesla. So the lesson here is just don't give up on this stuff, because it's hard. So that's, the other lesson is product market fit's a bitch. So we thought in 2017 that satellites would largely be like Planet Labs Dove satellites. The dominant form factor for satellites moved from these CubeSats to 500 kilogram communication satellites. So if you're building a rocket and you're seeing thousands of Kuiper satellites and SDA satellites and Telesat satellites and Iris Squareds, you go look at what's out there. That little rocket was too small, and so is Electron. So the problem is if you can only throw a few hundred kilograms, your TAM, your addressable market, is basically insignificant, right? So it costs the same-ish to build the small thing as the big thing. So just build the thing that addresses the market. The problem is when you're talking about a rocket, that's a complete redesign. You literally have to start over. There is almost...
So you heard it here first. The Electron market share is completely insignificant. That was a very, very interesting comment. Yeah, and we will go to a segue now. You guys will understand shortly. So here we go.
But this is his engine. So this is we have a new rocket engine. There was a company, Firefly. They went public. And we bought the engine from them, and it was garbage. So we literally couldn't get the same engine twice from them, and none of them matched the CAD. And if you're in engineering, you know that just doesn't work. So we had to basically start from scratch with this engine. So we built a...
So that's very interesting news about Firefly. I don't know how true this is, but this is a perfect segue into that. Firefly came out with its own earnings, and the stock was down 11% pre-market. The revenue seems to be down 25% year over year. A bigger loss than expected in Q2, but their rocket is cleared for flight soon, with maybe two flights planned this year. And they got in $933 million, which means that they're pretty well capitalized. So Scott, what did you think about these earnings?
Like a mixed bag, but I wouldn't say concerning. Like I think it's easier to look at like Astra or whatever and kind of like trash talk them as a Rocket Lab investor. because of Chris Kemp's arrogance. But in the case of Firefly, like I didn't like their last CEO, like plain and simple. He was just like a kind of very Kemp-like in his shit talking, and I just have no use for that. I mean, there's a time and place for it, no doubt, but like it was just one of those things, just like completely, like saying that they're the only small launch provider, like full stop. It wasn't like only launch provider under or at around the 1 ton mark. It was just completely discrediting Rocket Lab, like outright. And I just have no respect for that whatsoever. So all this to say is like the earnings was concerning, but I wish Firefly well. But it's understandable that the stock is down. They are in a bit of a concerning situation. I don't know. Actually, am I able to share my screen? I'll just share what I.
Yeah.
Just got to bring up the right window this time. Should be that one.
Yeah, I think we should be able to. Wait, maybe I have to. Yeah, here we go.
Okay, cool. 1 sec. Actually, I'll bring the notes to the other screen. Cool. Okay, so I'll do like the more visual part so we can kind of get a better visual. So this is kind of their, actually, I'll start kind of high level first. So some of this is kind of like penciled in, if you will. The reason for that is during their initial, their S1, wrong way, they gave us like details for the first quarter of each year and then the full year. So if you'll notice that like the Q3 and Q4, they're the same. It's just kind of a placeholder to represent what is the second half of the year. So as soon as the Q3 comes in, that'll be more accurate, but just wanted to kind of put that up front. So that's why if we scroll down, it looks like it kind of like flattens for every Q3 to Q4. That's accurate as a net representation of the second half, but not perfectly accurate representing the quarter. So hopefully that made sense. But either way, you can see kind of the relationship that the revenue had: 15.5 million in Q2, 71.4 million in the first half of the year. Their full year guide is for 133 to 145 million. So 67.6 million mid-range for the second half of the year, which would be 183% year-over-year growth compared to the full year of 2024. Where it gets kind of ugly is the margins, as you can see here. I'm bringing it a little closer. Not that close. I'll zoom that out too. So the operating expenses, just to kind of across the board, we're looking at like, I guess, well, yeah, I guess margins as a whole, I should say, we're looking anywhere between -200 to -600%. So rough shape, right? And you could give them the benefit of the doubt, like the same kind of Rocket Lab treatment. Rocket Lab's operating margin isn't great as well because they're developing Neutron. But given that they're in a similar situation, if we scroll down, you can see that like kind of no matter which way you cut it, Rocket Lab being red, Firefly being green, whether it's gross margins, whether it's operating margin, whether it's adjusted EBITDA, whether it's free cash flow, Firefly is just arguably in a worse state, kind of no matter which way you cut it. To take it a step further as well, they're expecting their operating expenses for the remainder of the year to increase, driven by the development of Eclipse, as well as material purchases for Alpha, as well as spacecraft development. But so said simply, margins are going to get worse in the second half of the year. What else do we have? Revenue for the... Oh yeah, one other thing that like really didn't make sense to me, and this might have been like, we saw this with Rocket Lab when Rocket Lab went public. They previously were recognizing the milestone revenue as it came in. So for example, when Rocket Lab pens a new customer, there's like a 10% down payment, right? Yeah. So they would have previously just been recognizing that like right away, right? But once they went public, they waited till there was an intentional ignition, and then they recognized all of that launch's revenue at once.
Yeah.
And what didn't make sense is if we look at their Firefly's Q1 launch revenue, Q2 launch revenue, what was reported, there was a mention of $6.3 million, but that was also mentioned to be driven by non-recurring engineering for Eclipse development. Now, the reason that doesn't make sense, as you can kind of look across the board, is like, if Alpha is launching at $12 million a pop, you would see any of these being like, or like 12 to 15 is kind of what they're selling for. But as you see in like Q2, when Alpha 6 launched, it's not even half of that. And it like I mentioned, that 6.3 million was attributed to the Eclipse development. So I don't understand if like, I just don't understand where or why it's not reflected if like they don't. Let me say this a different way. When Rocket Lab has a failure, they still get that revenue. And my understanding is that's because the launch is insured. But I'm wondering if, from what we're seeing here, does that mean like the launches aren't insured? Or like, I don't understand why there's not any revenue, even at like final 10%, assuming they have a similar structure to Rocket Lab, that was recognized at the point of ignition. So that was just something that didn't make sense. And they do explicitly mention that revenue for Alpha is recognized at the point in time when the launch occurs. So I'm not sure if they're talking about like going forward, similar to what Rocket Lab did when they went public, but I just don't understand where that revenue is like at all, like between like from Q1 of 2024 till current. Like it doesn't, I don't know, it just seems odd.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. It sounds, it seems sus.
Yeah, very. So last couple points here, and then we can get back to it. There were previously mentioned to be 50 launches in backlog as of December 17th. So 50 plus Alpha launches in backlog. But then suddenly it's down to 30% in Q1, and then it was mentioned to be 30%, or sorry, 30 launches again in Q2. So I don't know if that initial 50 was like optional launches that weren't like actual backlog, but just like optional. I'm not sure what happened to those, but they're sitting at 30 launches in the backlog. And I'm pretty sure those are all Alpha as well. So they have a lot to chew through, especially at the current rate that they're at. But they are scheduled to fly again right away here. They're planning to have 2 more launches this year. The next one being for Lockheed Martin again. And the 8th is unclear. I don't think it's Victus Haze. I think Victus Haze has now been pushed into 2026. So that will affect Rocket Lab. That was otherwise supposed to go off in October. So that's clearly not happening. And then Eclipse, their successor to Alpha, is now mentioned to be late 2026, which was previously mentioned in the back half of 2026. So I'm assuming that means what was previously the second half of 2026 is probably now Q4 of 2026. And then the final point is that they have, it's not reflected in the Q2, but it will be reflected going forward, is that they have over $1 billion in cash and equivalents following the IPO. And they also have secured a $125 million revolving line of credit. So they, margins aren't great and whatnot, but they do have a long runway to figure things out. And I hope they do. I really like, from what I've seen, I really like their new CEO and CFO, and especially in contrast to previous management. So,
yeah. Curtis says he's buying at $3 a share. Is there any?
What's it at now?
I actually don't know.
It's like in the 30s now.
Is there any market cap you would be buying at?
I don't know. I haven't even, like, just after these earnings, like, it's not even a consideration right now. Like, I guess if it gets to the right price, but nowhere near it is now. Oh, right there, it's $36 as of Friday close, I guess. Yeah, $4.6 billion market cap for what, like 60 million in revenue. Oof. Well, that's for the quarter, I guess. Yeah, we'll call it 150 for the year. 150 million. That's pretty rich for those kind of margins.
Yeah. All right. Pretty crazy. I saw there was a question here from June. What are your current thoughts about Redwire?
Bullish. Like, I don't know. That's another thing. And that really reminds me of like Shift 4 right now. And honestly, almost if it wasn't for the Redwire situation, I'd probably be more bullish on Shift 4. And the reason for that is because Shift 4 did this massive acquisition. It wasn't to the scale of Redwire acquiring Edge Autonomy, but it was still pretty meaningful. And I'm kind of curious to see how the market will respond to all the fees and whatnot. Similar, like it, one for one, what happened with Redwire and Edge. It just, I think with that single print, there was all of the fees that were incurred, but none of the revenue. I think there was, I think it was like 2 weeks, give or take, of revenue, but then 100% of what is ultimately like the transaction fees to double the size of the business. So there's a really ugly quarter without the context of everything going on behind the scenes. So like, I don't try to time the market or predict what happens next, but like I don't know. If my expectations for Q3 and Q4 are even remotely accurate, I don't see how Redwire is still trading in this range by the end of the year. So,
all right, cool. Yeah, I think this was a fast show. I think we went through everything that I wanted to speak about. I don't know, Scotto, if you have any topics.
I do actually. I see a mention in the comments about Redwire's management, and like, okay, so it's one of those relationships that I've noticed where it's like the management is only poor if the stock price goes down, it seems like. And what I mean by that is like when Elon was like doing the whole Twitter and X layover, whatever, the stock cratered. I think it went down 60%. Elon's the worst. He needs to be replaced. It's the end of the world. Tesla to zero, right? Because he's distracted and whatnot. But I noticed that like when Elon took a 6-month vacation to go hang out in the White House, but Tesla stock stayed where it was, nobody had a problem that he was doing that. And it's like the same thing with Redwire. Like nobody's gonna have a problem with their management by the end of the year once the stock goes back to where it's probably going to be. So I don't know. I think a lot of the trash talking of the management is more to do with investors being underwater than it is actual poor management, in my opinion.
Yeah. Interesting. Cool. Do you think Rocket Lab can acquire Iridium's communications with cash and stock buy? Thanks. They are a 2 billion market cap.
2 billion.
I mean, to be honest, Jackie, I think like it could be a possibility. When we spoke with Adam Spice, he said that they're looking at acquisitions, small and big, and some that they shouldn't even be looking at. So I think that if they can find an angle to make it work, they are also not like, I mean, as you see, like they just announced this new 750 million capital raise. Adam Spice said that they're always looking at like how they will finance the new acquisitions. It can be it can be financed 3 ways. You buy it cash, you buy it stock, or you take a loan for it, and you can have any combination of these 3. So yeah, but I don't know what are the chances. I would think it's like less than 10%. I don't know. What about you, Scotto?
I'm muted. I don't follow Iridium close enough to really have an opinion. I'm not too sure. It's one of those things. Like I've like, it's especially at this point, like before it was like Rocket Lab had no payloads and we weren't really sure. Like it was just easier to kind of guess. But at this point, I'm just like, I honestly don't know. I don't know what comes next, and I just kind of leave it to Adam and Peter to figure that out. So
yeah. I agree with you. I mean, Iridium, as far as I understand, they're an old space company, and they have a communication constellation that is more for navigation, if I understood it correctly. So obviously, if they would go together with Rocket Lab, like they would help each other out, because I guess they would get access to cheap launch. But also, like, is Rocket Lab ready to go to someone and say like, we can give you access to launch, because Neutron is not even flying yet, and let's say that the test flight goes good, the next 3 Rocket Lab launches are sold. So the earliest time that they can fly, or like if Rocket Lab partners with somebody, the earliest time that they can fly their satellites is probably 2028.
Yes, it might be a while.
Yeah.
But I mean, with that recent offering too, though, like that has me wondering. I think you mentioned in the last episode that it could be just a matter of like needing a war chest for like the government to take them seriously, to like just have that cash on hand. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe it is for maybe something is coming down the pipeline as well.
I mean, if you would put a gun to my head and I would have to give an opinion on it, I think it's for an acquisition. But yeah, it could be also a combination, right? Like that they see the stock price is very high. It's easy to take in money, and then it's like, okay, why not acquire a company for 200 million and have 500 million over for the government to take them more seriously.
Mm-hmm. I'm seeing a few mentions of MDA, and like I don't know, they're a company that I follow a bit closer, and they have a pretty good valuation. But yeah, I don't know. That's an interesting one. I almost kind of would lean away from it, though. I think there's almost too much, like too many parts in common that it might kind of, kind of, but also, I also don't think they have the greatest relationship after what we've hypothesized is like them bidding directly rather than kind of having that middleman for the other satellites for the MDA constellation.
Yeah. What's the market cap of MDA? What is it even in
I think it's like 2 billion, maybe 3.
Yeah. It's so crazy that like theoretically, like Rocket Lab could acquire a company that is in the billions, and even with I mean, if it's a good company, if we use the logic that the space infrastructure should be majority of the business, like let's say 60-70% of the business, right? Mathematically, they could use, like if they would buy a 15 billion, no, this is when it becomes too late. So like they could partner with another company that is 40 billion in value, and they add Rocket Lab's 20 billion in value, and they merge, and that's when you would have the correct ratio, right? So if they would even partner with a company that is 15 billion, that would make it possible for them to have space infrastructure. Now, this is just obviously hypothetical because I don't even know if such a company exists, or if they would be willing to do it. It would still be a bargain because, yeah, based on this math, right? Like it doesn't even come up to the 60% of the value of the company. So like the value of the merged company. I don't know if that makes sense. Please let me know in the comments if you understood what I mean. But yeah. So I don't think it's out of the possibilities that they are looking at 2, 3, 4 billion companies, even in an all stock, that they just merge with the company. Yeah. What do you think, Scotto?
Yeah, I mean you make some good points. I was wrong about MDA as well. They're closer to a $4.5 billion market cap, but they are, I mean, they seem pretty cheap and quite profitable as well. So
yeah,
interesting.
You know, it's actually interesting that we're speaking about this because you remember when Adam Spice said that they're an engineering company, and then if a company costs too much, then Sir Peter Beck says that he can do it in-house.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that would be like, I think that the only reason if they would ever be buying a company in the billions of dollars, it is because it provides them, something that in the space infrastructure, because I don't believe that they would be like, if a company in the payload or this tuck-in acquisition, if it would be 2 billion, I think Sir Peter Beck would be like, we just take the risk, we take $15 million and a few guys, and we will re-engineer what they have, and then we don't have to pay 2 billion. So the only way that I see is there is a company with spectrum, with an existing constellation, with existing, you know, tentacles in like 100 countries that they can just partner with, and then immediately Rocket Lab has a space infrastructure. That's the only way I can see them acquiring something in the billions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, agreed. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, very interesting. Cool. I think this is a good point to end the show. I enjoyed today. It was a bit more other space companies than usual, but hey, I think it's important to cover those also.
Agreed.
Yeah. So yeah. So thank you everyone for being here. May your sky stays blue and your stock stays green, and hopefully see you next week.
Cool. Thanks, guys.
Bye-bye.